Have you ever wondered what Ryuichi Kihara enjoys when he's not on the ice? Surprisingly, even many of Rikuryu's biggest fans don't know the answer. When people talk about Ryuichi Kihara, the conversation almost always revolves around figure skating. They praise his incredibly stable lifts, the distance on his throw jumps, the deep position of his death spirals, and the technical precision that helped make Rikuryu one of the greatest pairs in the world. There is another side of Ryuichi that has nothing to do with skating. It's the side of him sitting in a baseball stadium, relaxing with a drink in his hand, completely absorbed in a Major League Baseball game. In 2025, while still living in Canada, Ryuichi shared two simple photos on social media. One showed the outside of Rogers Center, the other captured the view from inside the stadium. The caption contained only a few words: 2025 World Series, nothing more. For baseball fans, those words said everything. The World Series had come to Toronto, giving Ryuichi a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to experience baseball's biggest stage in person. As someone who had spent years making Canada his second home, this wasn't just another sporting event. It was a chance to witness history unfold right in the city where he trained. Fans quickly noticed the post. Many joked online, "Wait, were they actually there?" Others wrote, "I'm so happy they got to experience it in person." It was a small moment, but one that made supporters smile, because it showed a completely different side of the Olympic champion they had watched for years. Then came another unforgettable baseball moment. In May 2026, after retiring from competitive skating, Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara were invited to throw the ceremonial first pitch at a Los Angeles-Dodgers game. But this wasn't an ordinary first pitch. Instead of standing beside each other, Ryuichi did something only Rikuryu could pull off. He lifted Riku into the air, just like during one of their famous pair skating lifts, and while she was still elevated above the ground, she threw the baseball toward home plate. The stadium erupted with cheers. The crowd loved it. Fans online immediately flooded social media with comments, "That is so Rikuryu. Only they would think of something like this. They're smiling brighter than ever." One comment appeared again and again. "Ryuichi looks unbelievably happy." Photos from the event also showed the pair standing alongside Japanese MLB stars Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Roki Sasaki. Looking at Ryuichi's face in those pictures, many fans noticed something different. It wasn't the emotional expression he wore after winning Olympic gold. It wasn't the intense focus seen before a world championship performance. This smile was simpler, lighter, more natural. It was the smile of someone simply enjoying a day at the ballpark. At first glance, this story seems completely unrelated to figure skating. There are no jumps, no lifts that count toward technical scores, no judges, no medals, so I spend time talking about baseball because moments like these reveal something far more important than any competition result. They reveal the foundation of a partnership that lasted 7 remarkable years. Today's story isn't really about baseball. It's about everything that happened away from the ice. Throughout this series, we've explored the nights they cooked curry together, the daily car rides to practice, and the countless routines that quietly strengthened their partnership. Today, we're stepping even farther outside the rink. We're leaving the arena and walking into a baseball stadium. And that's where we begin to understand what truly held Rikuryu together. Pair skating is unlike almost any other sport. Two athletes don't simply compete alongside each other. They perform as one. Every practice is shared. Every competition is shared. Every trip, every training session, every success, and every disappointment is experienced together. Because of that, the quality of their relationship directly affects the quality of their skating. When trust is strong, performances become effortless. When tension exists, audiences can often sense it immediately. The emotions shared between two skaters become visible in every movement on the ice. That's why the moments away from competition matter far more than many people realize. The hours between practices, the conversations that have nothing to do with skating, the ordinary afternoons with no cameras and no judges, those are often where true trust is built. Over the past 7 years, small pieces of that life have quietly surfaced. Evenings spent playing video games, casual shopping trips, relaxing together between training sessions. And now, baseball. None of those moments improved a technical score. None earned extra points from the judges, yet every one of them strengthened something far more valuable than a score sheet ever could. That raises an interesting question. Who do we choose to spend our free time with? Most people meet coworkers to discuss work. Even dinner conversations often drift back to professional life. But the people we're truly comfortable with, Those are the ones we invite into completely ordinary moments. You don't invite someone to a baseball game unless you genuinely want them there. You don't spend 3 hours sitting beside someone simply because it's part of your job. You choose that person because their company alone makes the experience worthwhile. Whether you talk non-stop or barely speak at all doesn't really matter. Just sharing the same moment is enough. Ryuichi has always loved baseball. And the fact that he chose to experience those moments with Riku says far more than many people realize. Sometimes, the strongest partnerships aren't revealed during the biggest victories. Sometimes, they're revealed during an ordinary afternoon at a baseball stadium. So what remained after all those years? Perhaps that question reveals the true nature of their relationship more than anything else. Over the years, Riku Miura was asked the same question countless times. Are you two dating? Her answer almost never changed. I'll leave that to your imagination. It was always delivered with a smile, but behind that smile lies something many people never notice. A baseball stadium, a miniature waterfall at Little Canada, countless ordinary days that no cameras captured and no judges ever scored. The same hands that executed some of the most difficult pair skating lifts in the world also pointed at tiny model cities, held video game controllers, and tossed baseballs together. That contrast tells us something important. Technical trust and human trust are different things, but when those two forms of trust finally become one, champions are born. Everything they accomplished on Olympic ice was supported by countless moments that had absolutely nothing to do with figure skating. Their greatest performances didn't begin inside an arena. They began during quiet afternoons, casual conversations, and simple experiences shared away from the spotlight. That's why these ordinary moments matter, because sometimes the places that seem least important end up shaping everything. While researching this story, one thought kept returning to my mind. When you want to go somewhere that has nothing to do with work, competition, or obligation, it's usually because you simply want to spend time with that person. Not because you have to, not because it benefits your career, just because being together feels natural. When Ryuichi went to watch baseball, Riku was there. When Riku visited Little Canada, Ryuichi was beside her. That simple fact may explain more about their 7-year partnership than any interview ever could. Perhaps that's what Riku really meant when she smiled and said, I'll leave that to your imagination. Maybe the answer wasn't hidden in mysterious words. Maybe it was quietly sitting in the stands of a baseball stadium all along. In May 2026, after retiring from competition, the pair attended a Los Angeles Dodgers game for the ceremonial first pitch. Fans immediately noticed something different. Ryuichi's smile. It wasn't the emotional expression everyone remembered from Olympic victory. It wasn't the exhausted smile that followed years of relentless training. It looked lighter. Freya, one fan, perfectly described it. He looks unbelievably happy. That observation felt exactly right. After all, winning Olympic gold carries incredible weight. Years of sacrifice, pressure, pain, expectation. When Ryuichi finally reached that dream, every emotion poured out at once. But sitting inside the Dodgers dugout beside Riku, there was no pressure left. No judges, no scores, no expectations. Just a lifelong baseball fan, enjoying the sport he loved with the person who had spent more time beside him than anyone else. Sometimes, the face we wear after competition tells us who we really are. And in that moment, Riku was still sitting right beside him. But to fully understand why that smile meant so much, we need to go back a few years. In 2023, Ryuichi was diagnosed with lumbar spondylolysis, a stress fracture in his lower back. The injury forced him to miss several major competitions. It came just one season after Rikuryu had completed one of the greatest years in pair skating history. To go from the top of the world to an injury that threatened everything, that wasn't easy. Later, Ryuichi would simply describe that period by saying, a lot happened. He never went into great detail, but one small story from that difficult time quietly survived. While Ryuichi was recovering, Riku took care of his meals. She prepared simple dishes focused on boiled vegetables and healthy nutrition to support his recovery. Normally, Ryuichi had been the one cooking. He was famous among fans for making curry. He was the one who enjoyed preparing meals. But now, their roles had quietly changed. The man who had spent years cooking for his partner suddenly became the one being cared for, and nothing about it felt forced. That's what makes this story so meaningful. Healthy relationships aren't built on one person constantly giving while the other only receives. They're built on balance. When one person needs help, the other naturally steps forward. Then when circumstances change, the roles reverse without anyone keeping score. Ryuichi cooked curry. Later, Riku prepared meals for his recovery. Neither acted out of obligation. They simply wanted to care for each other. Perhaps that's one of the greatest reasons their partnership lasted so long. Another glimpse into their off-season life tells a similar story. Near their training base in Oakville was a shopping mall that became one of their favorite places. It wasn't just somewhere to shop. It became their unofficial strategy room. Over coffee or while sitting on a bench, they discussed choreography, program layouts, competition strategy, and goals for the upcoming season. Think about that for a moment. Most athletes save those conversations for the rink or the coach's office. Rikuryu had them while walking through a shopping mall, maybe outside Uniqlo, maybe inside Starbucks, maybe surrounded by people who had no idea they were watching future Olympic champions planning the next step of their journey. That says something remarkable. For them, skating wasn't confined to the rink. Life and skating flowed naturally together. They could enjoy an ordinary afternoon while still dreaming about extraordinary performances. The boundary between work and everyday life slowly disappeared. And perhaps that's exactly what happens when someone stops being just your partner and becomes someone who simply belongs in your everyday life.